The September 20th, 2012 regular voting meeting of the Carlynton School District Board of Directors is called to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And we have two students, looks like we're going to be introduced. I'll turn to Dr. Cecilia to do that.
Well, we were scheduled for two. Unfortunately, one had to work this evening, was not able to join us, but we're going to mention both of them. With us tonight, the two students we wanted to honor. One is senior Lana Mayer, who's not able to be here this evening, but also our freshman Marin Exler. As I said, Marin's in 9th grade. She's one of two, along with Lana, Carlynton awardees or winners in the City Theater's annual Young Playwright Contest. Now, for Lana Mayer, this is the second straight year. For Marin, this is the first time. And both of them will have their plays performed by professional actors early next month down at the City Theater. For Marin, this was a project she worked on as part of her GATE program, Gifted and Talented Education, and she worked with Miss Longo, who's one of our English teachers. And to give you an idea of the stick-to-itiveness and the desire that Marin has for this, she did 6 revisions, Miss Longo told me. So she really did a great job. And again, put it in perspective. Each year there are 6 winners from Allegheny County. This year there were about 30 school districts represented, and there were 225 plays submitted. Out of those, we had 2 of the 6 that were chosen, and that's a very rare feat. And it's usually only Lincoln Park or Kappa or something. It doesn't really happen very often with the public schools. So again, both Lana and Marin are going to be in the fall play all in the timing, which will begin November 30th.
Quite a nice little school district, you know.
Yes, we do.
We have
some
great
talented students. So I'm going to ask Marin to come over to the microphone a little bit and tell us a little bit about the process you did and a little about the play that's going to be performed, because I can't pronounce the title, so I'm going to rely on her to do that. So just
so yeah, turn it so the camera can see it. You're in show business, you got it for the camera, right?
There's one special person she wanted to recognize.
I want to recognize my mom, Liz Exler, is right there in the green shirt. She's awesome. My play is called The Journey Through Galumpe Forest, and it is it's a story about a little girl who travels into a magical forest and discovers that it is her destiny to save the forest because she's the chosen one. And it's a lot of fun, and it's very whimsical, and I'm so excited to see it be performed. And I started, last year for summer camp for little kids, I wrote this play. That was the first version, not very complicated, no backstory, no depth, just a little play. And for my GATE project, my English teacher from last year, Miss Longo, talked about the playwrights contest and how Lana had won it and how it was a fun thing and how I like to write and I like to act, so this could be a good opportunity. So I picked my play, Galumpe Forest, and I rewrote and rewrote and rewrote and rewrote and until it was finished, and then I submitted it into the contest. And then in about early June, I received a phone call letting me know that I was one of the winners. And over the summer, I rewrote the play another 6 times until now. It was a very long, hard, annoying process, but I'm very, very pleased with how it's come out. So hard work pays off.
Congratulations.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you wrote the play, did you envision yourself potentially being the little girl? Or was that taking something from your past?
Actually, when I wrote the play for the first time, my little sister was playing the little girl. Out of blackmailing, she demanded the lead. So it was kind of based off of my little sister, because she's a wild thing. free spirit.
And just so we have some idea of the age of your little sister?
She's 8, and the
She's
girl in my
8.
story is also 8.
She's 8, the girl in the story's 8.
And do you have a date of the performance yet?
October 6th and 7th are the 2 days of performances. One day, I believe, is the high school winners, and then the other day is middle school winners. And I think the 6th is the middle school winners.
Are you going to get to go to see?
Yes,
performance?
I'm going to see it on a field trip, and I'm also going to be seeing it on the opening day for the public.
Fantastic. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was just wondering, these plays, do they allow you to film them? Probably not.
I don't know.
I was just curious, it would be something that would be interesting to bring back
Yeah, they
to the
might.
students
The
of the
company,
school district.
like City Theater, the company that does this, might film them. I think. I don't know.
And it's going to be performed, is it on the south side?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
You know, and actually, I could see great benefit to doing that and having an archive of things like this. I imagine you might have benefited by having a chance to see the play that was won last year.
Yeah.
By a lot. So maybe your play this year might be inspirational for somebody down the line. So, Dr. Cicini, could you see if things like that, and even last year's, if it's available?
Sure, I can ask Ms. Longo. She has been involved with this playwright contest for many, many years as a judge, and she has a long list of theatrical background herself, and has a lot of contacts down there, so we'll check into that.
And actually, the reason why I asked if you envisioned yourself, because I thought, boy, wouldn't it be cool if you were able to do just a portion of that here?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if the
Just a question.
company like. I don't know. I guess it's my play, so I think I own it. But I'm not sure since they're performing it if they have like any copyright. Although I don't really know.
You haven't signed anything, right?
I'm not sure. Hope not.
All right. Anyways, thank you.
Well, with that, if everyone would please rise, and when you're ready, you can begin the pledge of allegiance for us.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Secretary will call the roll.
Director Schell,
Present.
Director Sharifah, Director Dugan, here, Director Tessero, here, Director Walpivia,
Here.
Director Shriver,
Here.
Director Wilson,
Here.
Director Apple,
He will not be joining us this evening.
and Director Russo.
Here. With that, we will turn first to public comment on any of the agenda items. I didn't see any names on the list. I may have missed that. If anybody wants to address the board on an item on the agenda, now's your time to do it. If you would like to address the board on any other matter, there will be an opportunity to do that once we get through the agenda items. With that, we'll move on. I will entertain at this point a motion to approve 2 sets of minutes. One is for the minutes of the September 6, 2012 regular meeting, agenda setting committee voting meeting, and 2, to approve the minutes of the September 6, 2012 meeting to discuss capital projects and renovations for the district facilities. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Director Schreiber.
One brief correction, there's an audience member reference in the the second meeting,
Right.
referenced as Doug Smith. I believe it was a Dave O'Brien. So just.
Okay, so I take it that Director Schreiber is making a motion to amend to reflect that change. Are you making such a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion to amend? There being none, we will vote on those. This is to amend the main motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. The main motion is
I would abstain because
with one abstention from Director Egan. Any further discussion then on the main motion as it has been amended? There being none, we will vote on the main motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions?
abstain.
Director Egan abstains. Motion carries. We'll move on to reports. I'll report to everyone that we had an executive session prior to this meeting in which we discussed personnel and legal issues. And with that, I'll turn to Mr. Pfeiffer, and his administrative reports and the reports of the state. Mr. Pfeiffer.
Thank you. We're pretty excited moving forward as we are with all the school activities that have been taking place in the fall. We have the Olveus bullying kickoff that's coming up. Homecoming's only a couple days away. We have the band festival coming up September 29th. And there's a large feeling of activity and engagement with the students and the faculty as we start to move ahead for this school year. We're also moving ahead with the classroom diagnostic test to help the kids get ready for the Keystone exams. Again, we'll be talking about the Keystones a lot between now and the administration of the Keystones for all the juniors, freshmen, and sophomores who have taken classes previously that are Keystone classes. Again, those are Algebra 1, Biology, and English Literature. So as we move ahead to identify the needs of the students and to try to get them some intervention so we can help prepare them for the Keystones. So there's a lot of activity with that. At the last meeting, if you recall, we had discussion about renovations for Crafton and Carnegie Elementary Schools, specifically with the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, but also with the wiring, alarms, air circulation, plumbing, and so on. I've begun to meet with some firms and contact architectural firms and engineering firms to have discussions about them, about what they can offer our community, our students, so that we can have facilities that are not only functional but also conducive to education, where the kids can come in and the parents and community can come in and feel like this is a place to learn, this is a place we're going to move ahead and really meet the needs of the students for the 21st century as we met them in the 20th and early 20th when some of these buildings were built. So as we go forward, also with the initiative on the scheduling, we've met with building committees on discipline to look at the discipline policy, and I'm very excited because the faculty has been dynamic and supportive of wanting to move ahead. The administrative team has really come together and taken leadership roles for some of these committees. And as we look to begin the 21st century after school grant and get those things in place, I just see better things from this district and this community that we're going to be able to offer through the cooperative effort of the administrative team, the school board, and the Federation. So it's an exciting time to be a Carlynton student, and hopefully parents and community members, it's an exciting time for you to be here as well. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Sassini, and he can talk a little more about some of the other things they're doing at the high school. Dr. Sassini.
Well, you summarized them very, very well. The two things I just wanted to mention very, very briefly, upcoming events, our Hometown High Q team. If you may remember, we had our first round match last May. It'll be broadcast this Saturday at 11 a.m. and it will be on the following Saturday, the 29th, at 11:30 a.m. So
okay, so again, the 22nd, what time?
At 11 a.m.
And the 29th?
Is that KDKA?
That's KDK Channel 2, yes.
So the 22nd at 11 a.m. and the 29th at
11:30.
11:30.
Yes. So
Okay.
set your DVRs accordingly.
Yes.
A very good match, so I hope you'll enjoy that. Our team, who you'll see compete, have two seniors, Vincent Pistelli and Alana Mayer, who we mentioned earlier this evening, as well as one junior, Kevin Schuster. They represent our school very, very well. The other thing was, I just wanted an update, to update the board. There was some question about the SAT preparation class, whether or not we were going to offer it. As of today, we had 22 students sign up. We had more than half of them have already paid their fee. So if it pleases the board, we'd like to offer that course this fall as well as in the spring.
I think it pleases the board very much. Such a great trial.
So that would conclude some of the goings on, as well as the other things we have on a day-to-day basis.
Mrs. Hudson.
Just a couple of things. We got an email today. We participate. Some of the classrooms are working on going more even school-wide, but we participate in a Math Dog, and it's an interactive game, and you get so many points. And Carnegie today was the national winners, and 20 students from Carnegie Elementary School answered 8,161 questions correctly between all of them. So as this morning, we were the national Some Dog U.S. National Contest finisher. So that was exciting
Let
this
me ask,
morning.
you said national?
We were. It said Some Dog
Like in the
U.S.
nation.
National Contest
Yeah.
finishes today at
Pretty
8
good.
p.m. and we were the daily winners. So yes, that was it. I had to read that twice. It was exciting.
What a district.
Yeah. Couple things that are going up on Wednesday. We are having a parent night at Carnegie. At 5:30, we're talking about response, intervention, instruction, and assessment, and then it's followed by the PTA meeting at 6:30. And then we're also kind of pairing with the pupil personnel that's school-wide, district-wide. Dr. Grubb.
Dr. Grubb is
Yes.
presenting at 7 o'clock about study skills.
So good information. I might try to chunk it all at one time. And last meeting I wasn't here, but I know I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit how the 4th grade classes are going. And we've had a really, really nice transition. I have heard from a few parents of students, especially some of our kiddos that do have a lot of anxiety and social anxiety, difference with change, and what a great transition they had, and how quickly they got to the routines, and especially their needs are being addressed in the classroom and not needed to be pulled out. There wasn't have to be so many resource rooms, opportunities for those students that typically happens in the year with like the new teachers, because the class sizes were small. So far so good, and our kindergarten numbers were full, but we're doing well. We're managing. We're getting to our routine. I think beginning of September, we're all looking forward to October. That's what I keep telling everyone. Routines all come together, and I think things are going well. So I just want to update the board on that. Thank you.
Good question.
Dr. Maslin?
I don't really have a formal report. I do want to thank you for attending our open house, as well as some of our board members who were there as well. It was very successful. Thank you to the teachers for all the work they put into that evening, and especially to our PTA. They just do such a fabulous job raising funds for our school. I think at last count, and Mr. Shriver, maybe you could correct me, I think the book fair raised $4,000, and our Chinese auction and the food that evening raised another $1,000. So it was quite a successful night. So thank you to all of them.
And let me just add to that, having gone to both buildings that night, Carnegie and Crafton had a phenomenal parent turnout for the open house. There was a great faculty turnout. The PTO was there all over the place in both buildings, manning tables, popcorn machines, walking tacos. It was great to see the large numbers of there was nowhere to park at either school. And I think that says a lot about the administration, the federation, the PTO, and the families that came out to support the schools. And I think that's why, we decided we want to keep the money invested in those schools and work on those facilities because of the services they provide to the community. So I want to commend you while we're at the mic here on the great job, because that just doesn't happen on its own. That's organized by the administration, by the federation, and the PTO, and it was just a great night to be a Cougar that night. I'd like to turn it now to Mrs. Myford.
Just an update on the 21st Century Grant. Lisa Raleigh and I traveled to Harrisburg earlier this week to gather more information about the start of the grants. We're finishing everything that we need to do to lay the groundwork to begin. And also I wanted to announce that we have our district-wide Pupil Services Committee here in the library on Monday, the 24th at 3:30. And then we have the parent night on Wednesday, partnering with Carnegie. But it's a district-wide presentation presented by Dr. Grubb about study skills, really targeted for the middle school, junior high level, because we're trying to help prepare them for high school.
Okay. Now I'd like to ask Mr. Christie, if you could discuss for the business report.
As I believe you're aware, the State Auditor General was conducting an audit over the summertime for the 08-09 and 09-10 school years. Last week, the administration and Director Shell was present at a exit conference meeting with the Auditor General, and I'm pleased to inform the board that there are no findings associated with those years. So it's a good thing, as Mr. Piper said, we passed. It's a wonderful thing to report that there's no findings associated with that audit. They indicated that they have to take the field work back to their offices. They'll review that, and we can expect a report in approximately 12 weeks. That concludes my report.
Thank you. That concludes our reports.
Thank you. I'd like to just add a couple of things. Mr. Pfeiffer had mentioned the progress we're making toward renovation. We are, as has been discussed, looking at different firms to help with this effort. Since the last meeting, at Mr. Pfeiffer's suggestion, we've asked 3 of our directors, Director Wakowiak, Tesoro, and Shriver, if they would review, sort of form a committee. They're going to review all of these different firms. We've got a number of them, and their charge is to bring to this board a number, 2 to 4, whatever they think is appropriate, a number of firms that they think should be invited to be subject to full board review. So we're doing this to be expedient, to move forward on this. And I want to just give notice to the 3 of them. I appreciate you guys doing this, and we look forward to your work with Mr. Pfeiffer and moving forward on this. So thank you all on that. And Mr. Kirby, we have a tax reassessment that's been done and going to be implemented soon. Is that correct?
My understanding is that there will be new assessment numbers given to all the communities and school districts, municipalities and school districts in Allegheny County, effective for January 1st, 2013. It relates to us for use for our fiscal year, July 1st, 2013 to June 30th, 2014. Since it's a countywide reassessment, no municipality or school district can earn a windfall from the increases in assessed values. We will have to look at those numbers, compare those numbers and how that will generate money for us, and compare it to what we received in the 12-13 school year. We will have to adjust our millage to cause the same amount of revenue to come forward at that point. So that's coming down the pike. The concern that I have is that all the appeals, which there were many filed, they're supposed to be done by December 31st. Let's hope that that occurs, because it'd be nice to have a number that we can count on, as opposed to a number that has to be appealed by taxpayers and possibly the school district.
Is there a point in time in which this district will have a definitive number that we can use to make this calculation, this transitional process?
Typically, the county assessors board certifies a number in January.
Okay.
That's historical. Okay. So I'm assuming that they're going to do the same thing this year. But as we get closer, I'll keep the board apprised of that.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
I have a question. Help us out here as a taxpayer. Let's say I want to appeal my assessment. How do I go about doing that?
First of all, there are deadlines for you as a taxpayer to appeal your 2013 assessment. That would have had to been done, I believe, by March 31st or somewhere in that neighborhood. So at that point, you've missed the assessment appeal date. That doesn't mean that for future years you can't do that. But,
Do I go down to the county assessment bureau?
There are several ways. There are several ways. The quickest way in today's world is to go to the county's website. There's a bullet on there talking about assessed values. They also tell you how to appeal things, who to contact. You can print out forms that can be used for appealing your assessment. They also give you phone numbers if you wanted to call them. There's a phone number to call. Or like you just mentioned a few moments ago, you can go down to the county office building and go to their office, and they should be able to help you out.
Thank you.
Further questions? No, we'll move on to committee reports. You'll see in your packets the minutes of the Parkway West August 7th meeting. Moving then to Pathfinder report, Director Wilson.
Pathfinder has not met since the last report.
Okay. Parkway West, Director Wakowiak, you had reported at the last meeting. Is there anything else you wanted to add at this point in time? Director Sharippa, Shasta, is there anything at this point you'd like to report?
No, my first meeting's next week.
Okay, thank you. And finally, Director Shaw, PSBA and Legislative.
Two items. One is coming on September 27th, 2012, from 4:30 to 7 p.m. There is an event sponsored by the Green Building Alliance where there's going to be a tour of Pittsburgh Langley K through 8. It's open to the public, but anybody who's interested, I mean, you have to register, but it's free to register. If you want to go onto the Green Building Alliance website and look under either events or calendar, you can register from that point. If anybody's interested, again, that's the 27th of September from 4:30 to 7.
A week from today.
A week from today. And it's just they're called the Green Ribbon Schools Inspirational Tours, and this is the Pittsburgh version. They have one at, I think, Harrisburg or Erie, I can't remember now. But there's one coming up for us. If anybody, because it's open to the public, is interested, but you do have to register. And just for another update from the bigger picture, with elections coming up, and this is not supposed to be partisan in any way. When you are considering your presidential candidate, some people think public education is a key issue. So for those of you who are on the fence or know for whom you will vote, I just wanted to give a brief synopsis of the differences between Obama and Romney. We pretty much know how President Obama stands on public education. He's still going to have some federal funding, still going to have competitive grants. No Child Left Behind is still not reauthorized. They're working on it. For Romney, the GOP has put out their support for private school choice. There's some talk of an overall reduction of just domestic discretionary spending. So some people think that could mean cuts to public education. It may or may not. Another key issue is immersion versus bilingual education for English language learners. So you can go on different websites. If you're not really sure who to vote for, your vote matters anyway. You got to figure out, where you stand. And so, in terms of legislative, the attitude from the federal government absolutely filters down to the state level. So it may seem far away, Washington D.C., but this is just a PSBA liaison plea for voters to get involved, figure out which philosophies you mesh with best, and go and vote in November. And that's it, really.
Thank you. I just would add that, thank you for that, and certainly good advice when considering really any candidate.
Right, and either one. And if it seems partisan, I hope it didn't,
No.
because I didn't want it.
Education's important. We look for all the support we can possibly get from any form and anybody. So thank you very much. We'll move on now then to business before the board. Under miscellaneous, you see a number of conferences and field trip requests that have been presented for approval. Do I have a motion to approve the list of conferences and field trips?
So moved.
It has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. We move on to finance. Two items. The first is approval of the athletic fund report for the month of August 2012 with an ending balance of $3,650.48, and the activities fund report for the month of August 2012 with an ending balance of $32,478.13. Do I have a motion to approve those two items?
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please identify the item by its number that you wish to discuss. There being no discussion, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, and motion carries. Under personnel, you'll see we have 5 items. The first is a motion to approve additions to the 2012-2013 athletic supplemental list. Number 2, additions to the 2012-2013 activity supplemental list. Number 3, additions to the 2012-2013 day-to-day substitute list. Number 4, approval of Jennifer Craig to 2.5-hour as a 2.5-hour food service worker at Carnegie Elementary. And number 5, Andrea Savacco to a lunchroom playground worker at Carnegie is submitted. Do I have a motion for those 5 items?
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please identify the item by its number that you wish to discuss. There being no discussion, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, and motion carries. Finally, under student services, you'll see 3 items. The first is approving the list of bus drivers for the 2012-2013 school year as presented. Number 2, the list of van drivers for the 2012-2013 school year as presented. Number 3, letter of agreement between the district and the Allegheny Intermediate Unit for remedial reading and math instructional services at St. Philip's School through the Title I program as submitted. Do I have a motion for those 3 items?
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please identify the item by its number.
I just wanted to point out for 3, this is a federal requirement. Under North Carolina provided, we're supposed to offer Title I services to private schools as well. So it's something that we have to do every year instead of this agreement. And it's not a new thing, just to clarify.
Is there a date that needs to be done by?
I think the contract was dated the 4th. Of September, I think it's.
That's right. Any further discussion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? The motion carries. We'll move on to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business the director would like to discuss at this point in time?
I had, just wondering about an update on Southwest Ballet. Anything you want to do about that? We're still tabled that and just waiting to see how information comes out.
I think JC is.
I had a lengthy phone conversation with Miss Hernandez, what's her name? Part of one of the obstacles that we talked about was that she kept mentioning PTA sponsorship, and I needed to get clarification from her what that meant. And essentially, she needs the PTAs to basically staff the program, not the dancing part, but the supervision and those sorts of things. And I expressed to her that she would need to first get commitment from both Crafton and Carnegie's PTA before Carla and I would want to sit down. If that's going to be a critical piece, that she's going to need multiple volunteers for every session, she really needs to get their support first, and that we'd be happy to meet with her after that. But there were some logistical things like that that really needed to be done beforehand. But we did speak.
And in terms of the separate issue of the information dissemination, flyers and such, we're okay with that in that district?
Right, we've done that with other
Yeah.
entities at the buildings.
So, because I know that was still up in there. I don't know if there's an update on the bike rack for Crafton? Nothing?
I mean, I'd have to ask John. I don't think there's anything that holds up the installation of it. It's really not an insurance issue. So I just gotta know when, in the process of everything they're working on, they can put it in.
And just a brief update, we've had some scheduling issues with the 707 facilities uses policy standards. We're gonna be working on that.
That's right.
We're working on it. Life got in the way.
And I'll point out just along those lines, we had approved in the first reading of some changes that were, I'll say, not the critical changes that had caused the greatest debate in this body in the past. That 30 days will pass by the next meeting, so I anticipate we will be voting on those, I'll say, relatively minor changes in that next meeting. But there's still some issues in terms of what the fee would be and the percentage of participation. Those are still outstanding issues. That is what I believe you're referring to.
Right, and
Yes.
try and find, Director Hobia asked if we could investigate justification for whatever fees that we do spend, and if $50 is justified, and unjustified.
Right, exactly.
And just doing that.
Focus on the fee and the percentage participation.
Right,
Yes.
and see what works, and try it.
Absolutely,
Just
absolutely.
try. But, I just want, for if anybody out in the public is wondering, we didn't drop the issue, we just had some technical issues.
Anything else you have, Ms.
No, not yet.
Director Schreiber, you were raising your hand?
I have a few things, yes. Fortunately, we have cool temperatures that alleviate some of the short-term concerns on the elementary building temperatures, but I'm wondering if Mr. Riccio has attempted anything back when it was hot, and if he found anything good out that will then help us in the spring, and I don't know if there were any findings before the temperature shifted or not.
Well, I know they were using everything, concerned about the power, and they had the fans going on in the halls. Nothing really seemed to really alleviate the heat, especially when it got to be in the upper 90s. I know they gave the kids popsicles, water breaks. I thought the teachers and the building administrators really did everything they could, given the situation. That's the first question we're at. You know, I asked Foreman this afternoon, and we have firms. What can we do to look at that? Air handlers, what type of fans? It's just difficult. And you've been in those buildings. You see how they're laid out. They weren't laid out with ventilation in mind in 1913 and 1954. So that's some of the issue that we're dealing with. And we can move the kids to lower floors and so on. But short of, you know, somehow getting an extra power source in there to bring in portable units, that's, you know, that underlines the need to move forward with the firms, get and start doing some real permanent things.
There were two things that I think we had identified in casual conversations that John was going to consider doing. I didn't know what his group schedule was like, so I didn't know if anything got done, but it was found out that due to previous policy or practice, we shut the windows every night when we go home. And there was an observation made, if we could leave them open, if we're fairly confident it's not going to rain, let's leave them open and see if just natural convection currents help to bring in some cool air. And even if cooling the buildings down for the morning half of the day might alleviate a lot of the problems, maybe it doesn't get hot until 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock.
Right.
That alone might be a good thing to try.
And I believe they were doing that.
Okay, well, those kind of things, I was just looking for some follow. Maybe at the next meeting, maybe John can report to you and you can bring it up and just let us know.
Right, and as I said, he had some circumstances that caused him to have to go out of town.
Sure.
So.
And like I said, because the cooler temperatures are here, it takes some of the short-term pressure off, but.
Well, if I may, what I'm hearing you ask of Mr. Pfeiffer is really the beginning of the development of a plan to have in place prior to the spring.
Correct.
So with that in mind.
Because we've had this issue for a couple
We're
of seasons
learning what we've
now.
learned this fall.
Correct. And one other piece that we anecdotally talked about with Mr. Riccio was the power concern is a legitimate one. There's just not enough amperage to run enough air conditioning units during the day to cool the rooms. One thought that was a group thought was that if the building's empty at night, the power consumption goes way down. There were enough amps to run some air conditioners at night. So in conjunction with maybe opening some windows or running air conditioning at night, there might be enough power to run some air conditioners during the evening time, so by the time people come in, again, we have a cool building to at least start the day with. So those two things seem to a layman to make sense and things we could definitely explore. So maybe to your point, we can have Mr. Riccio look into those. Maybe he's already done them, maybe the
Well,
team
that
is
can be a
busy.
part of a plan that's in place, so come the spring. And the fall that follows, and the spring that follows, because we're gonna have a few warm periods that we need to deal with prior to the completion of the overall renovation that we're working toward.
And these are things that are relatively inexpensive. That is
Yes.
not enormous. Great. I had a real quick chance to peek in the cafeteria. It looks phenomenal. So comparing what we had in the past and what we've got now, it's great. Didn't know if there was any comments from
Well,
teachers, staff, principal, or anyone else.
I've got a daughter who's in high school, and she reported to me the first day when not the temporary fixtures were replaced, but the new ones were replaced, how great it looked. And you may recall that Dina Mitchell was here and had said that, well, things are in place and should help on time it takes kids to get food. It takes a little time for kids to get used to it. The report I got was time has been cut at least in half. Kids are moving through quickly, it looks great, the food is great, everything's very positive. So I think Ray, you had actually, and Jim as well, have a chance to take a look.
Yeah, that's where we were.
And what's your sense of it?
It's touchy.
Masterfully understood.
Thank you. I had lunch today, and I was asking the people in the line how they liked it, and the general response was, I love it, I love it, I love it. So,
Good.
even the workers seem to like it. Good.
Director Schreiber, anything else?
One last thing, and if anyone else needs to speak, I can.
Go ahead.
Floor, sure.
Well, I just want to just piggybacking on yours. Any feedback on how, because we kind of did two things at once, right? We changed the outside of the cafeteria, but also the federal government, we have these new healthy food requirements, which is completely independent of us, right? Or beyond our control. Any input on kids in this district are settling into the new healthier options?
You know what, I mean, it's still, we've been in school 3 weeks. I know the pizza's been, but they changed the pizza because it has the wheat crust and it's a little, that seems to be a big seller. I think that kids can go to some of these fresh deli bars and make some things. I haven't really talked with Dina about the hot lunches, but it seems like some of the things where the kids can do the grab and go to healthier options, it seems like those are going. But I'll get a more detailed, we have an admin meeting with her coming up, we'll talk about that. I haven't had to meet with her other than how's the counters being laid out to see how the sales have been going. Because that's important, you know, it's not only that the kids are going to food, but how is it moving, so, you know, we know what food we're ordering in that's gonna, and not just sit there.
And like we just did for our food program, we did a lot, you know, some things that were in our control, like the look of it, and other things that weren't in our control, like the food part of it. And I'm not gonna put the student on the spot, but I might accost her at the end of the meeting now.
Well, and, you know, I've read, I think I've seen some articles about some districts, and things haven't worked out real smooth everywhere, and I think there's just this period of adjustment to.
Right. That's just no big deal.
It's a new menu.
It's a new menu, yeah, beyond our control, it's a new menu.
I also think there's a challenge for culinary people to take something they're used to and make a change using ingredients that might be more healthy. It takes effort, it takes some creativity, some thoughts, maybe there's some adjustments over time that might be.
It's going to be interesting. We start comparing what sold last year, how many kids went through to this year, and then if the numbers rise or fall. And it's going to take time to get those numbers in and look at that.
Do you have anything else?
My last point, yeah. At the last meeting, we put some positions and voted to post some positions, and thankfully someone in the audience had caught just maybe a discrepancy or a miscommunication internally, and now I feel silly because I don't really know what I don't know at this point. So I'm wondering if we can quickly kind of recap what we did to make sure it's what we think
We posted a number of positions in the last meeting. Where do we stand with that?
Well, for the positions, for the advertising, for the 3 professional positions, we got numerous responses. We have to go till tomorrow, till 3:30, for people who are expressing interest to accept applications, and then we'll set up the interview process for that. We're also moving to put the aides in place. If you recall, some of the confusion was with the aides, that 2 of the aides had already been in place, so we won't have a disruption of services, and the board approved that at the meeting prior to the last meeting, and they were on, but we also added 2 new aides that were coming on. And Ms. Meiker, I think you could talk about the 2 new aides and where we are with them.
Right, so we officially posted those 4 positions last week and people bid on them, but because of that bidding, then we had other positions that would be available. So those openings end tomorrow at 3:30, and then Monday morning at 8:30, we'll be able to meet and decide who is going into what position.
Like a round robin.
Yes.
Could I just clarify that? So there were 3 staff positions, and it was a testing coordinator, curriculum director, a math
Teacher.
teacher, and a
Home and school visitor. And the testing coordinator, data coach, curriculum supervisor, and the home and school visitor are K through 12. K through 12.
And then the aides, so there were 4 aides.
So there were 2 originally from special ed, the one that was the special ed that was district-wide, and the one that was inclusion at Carnegie. And then a kindergarten at Carnegie was added, and the inclusion building person for Crafton was added. And so those 4 originally were bid on by people last week, but that left openings for current employees, and now those.
And that's all by the collective bargaining agreement for that association.
So really there were 7 positions. Okay. So we did it in a group of 5 and a group of 2.
I think it's very.
Okay. I'm
5
sorry.
during the meeting and then 2 at the end.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, I want to go back to, Nara brought up the bike rack. And just so that we're clear, Is it such now that there is nothing standing in the way, it's a matter of getting it installed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, my second question was, we had a student council representative that to the, I think to both boroughs, and I know that Crafton's graduated, so is anything been done? Is there a new person, new student, council member been appointed, or do we know that?
In the past, they've asked us if we had students. We've not received any notification if they'd like to continue that. If they did, we would certainly try to find students from both.
I think it's a good experience for the students.
Right. So the student sits there basically at the invitation of the council, is what we're saying. And we've yet to receive an invitation.
Correct.
But we typically, we could expect us to receive one at some point. We would
I hope so.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Director Ewing.
How does the hiring of these new positions impact the budget? And is there money in the budget for that, for these new positions?
I think the aides positions,
There
Yeah.
were AIDS positions last year.
Right.
We furloughed some people, but they were already in the budget. So I don't believe that's in addition to anything from last year.
in terms of the administrative positions, I don't believe that, these are new positions.
Right. These are new positions, but I think we're gonna be able to fund them, and build them into the budget. Kirby, could you add?
Those, out of the 7 positions that we described, 5 of them I'm terming new positions. Those 5 positions were not budgeted in the 12-13 school year.
Is there any determination as to what salary we will offer these people who are being hired?
Well, the bargaining unit positions are set by the contract.
That's true.
One of those positions was an Act 93 position, and that is up to the board to decide.
So
I would point out that these are positions that we've identified as being pretty important to the district as we move forward to try to enhance our offerings. We've recognized the need for a greater investment in curriculum, in analyzing the data that we've got out there. So this one position in particular, I think, is going to be pretty critical for us. The math position, we've got new rules now coming from the state in terms of the tests and assessments, the keystones, and this is going to be critical to help us prepare for that and work toward that as well. So, Sandra, we all are very, try to be as careful as we can with our budgets and with our dollars.
We just want to know how much it's going to cost us and where we're going to get the money.
Well, we have the money. We have the money. And I suspect that we even have the money in terms of current revenues. It may not have been included in the budget, but certainly to the if, and these are budgets historically where we have surpluses. No guarantee that we're going to have that now. If we do have a surplus, I would say that it gets covered from that surplus that we have. But as a district, we've recognized the need for investment in our students and to continue on with that. And at least at this point in time, though we have the money, we need to be prudent in how we spend it. So I think your questions are good ones to be cognizant of the kind of investment that we're making.
But also, when we pass the budget, some of these positions support our administration, some of them free up our building principals to be building principals, some of them are supporting our curriculum, are helping with discipline, all these things. When the budget was passed, these new regulations from the Pennsylvania Department of Education concerning the Keystone exams were not in place. That came to us in August with, you better be up and running for October. So there are things that every school district in the state needs to get a jump on, because we are all in the same boat, pretty much behind the 8 ball, because we have received very little notice for a huge structural shift in what we were required to do. And yes, I mean, Common Core has been around for a little bit. We've been aligning with the SAS. This district has, I know for a fact. So we are not as behind as some other districts might be. But in terms of moving forward and supporting what we have and creating new philosophies and infrastructure for new requirements that were not around when the budget was passed, it is going to be a notable amount of money, of course, but to do otherwise, I don't think that for our success and our future survival, we can afford to not address these issues, and especially with the curriculum coordinator and the homeschool visitor. These are key components that will, my hope, of course, is that they will bolster this district to levels that we know that we can achieve. And so, yes, it is an expenditure, and it wasn't in the budget, but circumstances have changed since the budget was passed. And so what we were trying to do is protect this district the best that we can.
And let me just add to that. I mean, our goal as a body is to meet the needs of the children, and the positions that we have are, you know, most importantly, are going to meet the needs of the kids and the families by providing services to them that we weren't really able to offer before. To get extra math instruction, to have a homeschool visitor that's also a social worker, who can work with kids and work with families, to be able to help kids and help teachers use data to measure progress, that in the course of the average day or week, building principals may get too bogged down with this issue, that issue, and all those other things, and we don't want the data to just be sitting in a pile on somebody's desk. We want it to be usable by the teachers. So I think these positions are really going to benefit the kids and the families.
To go specifically to what I think part of what you may be asking, would it be possible, Mr. Pfeiffer, could you provide an email to every member of the board what the salary would be for each of these positions? And then we can report it at the next meeting and share that with the public.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we know what they are by contract. I think we've had some discussions about ranges for the academic three positions, but just to share that with everybody. But that
That'd be fine. I just want us to be mindful that we make a budget for our expenses, and I want no surprises come next June that, wow, look at the millage increase we have to sustain in order to pay for all of this. So let's really watch our budgetary parameters.
And nobody wants surprises, but you know, especially with the Keystones, this came out of nowhere, essentially out of nowhere in August. This is what you have to do now. Your testing schedule is different, your accountability systems are different, these things are different, and you have to be up and running and compliant. And so nobody likes surprises, and it certainly wasn't anything anybody was anticipating. And yes, I think as a board, we are with you. We don't like surprises, and we don't like to go over budget, but this was an odd year with an odd set of requirements in new circumstance.
And anything else? Is this good? Anything else in this? Yes.
If I could just piggyback on a comment, I think with the commitment that the district showing to adding all these positions, there have been a few other directors that have expressed other areas months ago of potential interest in covering. There was art curriculum at certain grade levels that there are gaps there. There's keyboarding at the elementary school that there's some gaps. There's some technology coaching that there's perceived gaps. So we have to. We're celebrating the additions we're making. We're also recognizing there's some other things we might want to do. So in the spirit of Saunders being, let's be careful. Let's aggressively look at those gaps, but being cautious and aggressive all at the same time if there's such a balance. So I don't want to lose sight of the other gaps that are still on the plate to be.
Oh yeah. I mean, what we've done with these last set of postings doesn't cure all the ills of any district. It's just part of the process. Many areas of maintenance that have to be addressed.
And while we've had discussions, within this body as to what to invest in and what steps to take, I think it's fair to say that to a person, we've all sought to get the biggest bang in one buck. So, I think this discussion certainly is healthy. It's good to have. I appreciate the question. Anything else under unfinished business at this point? There being nothing else, I'll ask if there's any new business the director would like to bring at this point. There being no new business, any new business? No? Open forum, anybody from the audience or any board member who'd like to discuss anything at this point in time? There being no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
There is a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. This meeting is adjourned.